Hey there, Jason here. I got a question for you. Have you ever pulled a lifelike Proto 2000 locomotive out of storage and it sounds like this? Well, if you have that problem, you've got cracked gears and maybe that's why you're here. So I'm going to show you how to fix it. It's pretty easy. Um, Basically, this happens as a result of putting your locomotives in storage, and especially if you have high temperature fluctuations, cold to hot, hot to cold, the gears will crack. Apparently, the axle gears for these older locomotives were manufactured in a way that the diameter of the inner axle hole was too small, and the plastic will crack. So many years ago, Lifelike apparently used to issue free replacements for these. However, after the purchase from Walthers, that offer is long gone. But the good news is that the fix is not only quick, but it's relatively cheap. You can pick up actually an Athearn replacement, Athearn part number 60024. This is labeled drive axle gear SD40-2 or SD40T-2. Comes in a 6-pack. So if you have a 6-axle lifelike locomotive, one package is enough to do the entire locomotive, all 6 axles. Now, all 6 axles may not be cracked, or all 6 gears. I've got a bunch of Jeep 30s, 5 of them, they were all cracked. I had a Jeep 20, those were cracked. And so I ended up buying a number of these packs. You can find these on eBay, or perhaps a similar deal. They're about $5.50 for a 6-pack, so not too expensive. I think it's an easy fix. So I'm going to go through and replace these and show you how quick and easy it is. So, and this is probably not the first video demonstrating this. I haven't seen one myself. I just kind of read the instructions on the internet. It probably won't be the last video, so you're in good company. Happens to many people. And so basically what you do is you take the locomotive. This is a Jeep 30, and what we're going to do is we don't have to take the shell off. We're going to take the drive gear covers off in the front and the rear. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's going to give us access to the gears to pull out, actually the axles. And I'll try and show the axles, the cracked axles on the camera, but I'm not sure if it's going to actually pick that up. So I started about the we'll call it the 3-minute mark, or the 3-minute and 30 mark. Let's see how long this actually takes. I've already got the front cover off. I'm going to go ahead and take the back cover off right away too, because I'm going to do all of them at the same time. Okay, so both covers are off, and that gives us access to the gears. So you can see the front and rear axle on that truck, the front and rear axle on this truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to be able to pull these wheels right out. Let's see if I can do this on camera while holding it. It's a little bit awkward holding it at an angle here, but they just pull right out. And here is the axle gear that's actually cracked. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out all 4 wheel sets. So the front wheels are out of the trucks, rear wheels are out of the trucks. So you can see how quick and easy it is to just pull those out. I'm going to go ahead and set the locomotive and the cradle aside because we don't need that now. And so what I've got left here is 4 sets of wheels, and you'll know they're cracked if you're able to take these wheels, and if you're able to twist them really easy and pull the wheels off real easy, that's a real good telltale sign that the axle's cracked, because these axles are typically really tight on the axle. So I've already pulled that off, and this was real loose. So that one's cracked, this one's loose, that one's cracked. Again, all four of these are probably going to be cracked. That one's loose. And then the final fourth wheel set, that one's also loose. So you can see here I've got all my wheels. We'll set those aside. Then we've got 4 cracked axles. Now, I'm not going to be able to probably show this on this video because the lighting is poor in here and I'm using an iPhone camera. I don't think I'm going to be able to show this, but if you stick, you can basically just visually inspect the axle. If you look at it in the right kind of lighting, you're going to be able to see it split. And if you take something like this needle nose pliers and kind of jam it up through the axle, you're going to be able to see where it spreads. Maybe we can actually see that. I can see it spreading here. There, I think you can actually see that. There's a hairline crack there. That's plenty enough to make that locomotive jump. So, you know, these axles are split. Throw them right in the garbage. So, I've got a tray of replacement axles. So what we're going to do is take our first axle and start pressing these on. Now what I found is when I first started trying this, my first time, I've done 5 or 6 locomotives now already. These axles, the gears go on very, very tight. You probably can't even do it by using your fingers. So what you need to do, what I found, I've got kind of a makeshift jig here. I use an NMRA gauge, HO scale, and I'll take this first wheel set. By the way, each of these wheels got, I think these things are called brushes, these square pieces on there. Don't lose those, because those will slide right off. If you lose those, you're not going to be able to have electrical pickup to your motor. So when you're taking your wheels off, setting them aside, make sure these square things stay on there. And if your locomotive's been lubed, they shouldn't fall off, but the surface tension of the oil or the grease will generally keep them on there. But I did lose one on the carpet, and I had to look for about 15 minutes to find it. So what I do is I take this NMRA gauge, take a wheel, and see this hole right in the middle of the gauge here? It's just the right size to set the wheel in, and it allows the axle to protrude through where it comes through the wheel. Okay, so I'm going to take that and just set it down on my bench work. Okay, and that's going to kind of keep the wheel kind of in one place. And it's also, the other thing it's going to do is it's going to support when I start pressing down the axle or the gear onto this axle. It's going to allow the wheel to not wobble, because the wheel is not laying on the tip of the axle as a fulcrum. It's actually, because of it's laying on the gauge, and there's a hole in there. It's actually, the entire wheel is supported flat and level by the gauge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to grab the gear like that. Now I don't want to smash the gears, so I don't have the gears. I do not have the gears in between the needle nose pliers. Okay, all I'm doing is I got them. The gears are flush up against the pliers like that. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to press right down onto the axle. And again, this takes quite a bit of pressure depending on the wheel that you're using. It allows you to use your weight, and it's already on. Okay. Now that's quite a bit of, oh, I can see on this wheel I'm missing, look at that. I'm missing the brush, it fell off. So I have to take this gear back off. Now, this is going to be tough because these gears are kind of sharp. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to press the other side on to help loosen the gear up to pull the other wheel off. So now I'm going to take the same needle nose pliers and I'm working from the other side, press this on to the next wheel. Okay, so that's on, but I'm missing a brush, so now I have to go back and I'm going to grab this wheel by the pliers, and I should be able to twist that axle off now because it's a little loose because the other axle is in there. So let's get the brush back on. Try this over. I wasn't trying to demonstrate how to put a wheel set back together incorrectly. Alright, so I got my brush back on, so now again I'm going to take the one wheel and the gear, and I'm going to again slide the gear up between my needle nose pliers, taking care not to smash the gears, and I'll grab this using two hands and press down evenly and level so that it slides right back down onto the wheel. Okay, now I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but you can see there's a little bit of space up there, and this is probably going to be out of gauge. So because I've done a lot of these now, I can tell just by visually if this is going to be in gauge or not. So what I want to do is press down on this other one a little more, get rid of some of that white space. We'll check, we'll make sure these wheels are engaged. We'll check the NMRA gauge. Now the wheels fall in, but they're just a hair wide. So we're gonna go a little bit more. That means we got to put a little bit more, remove some of that distance in there. See, now it pressed down all the way. Now we have no white space. Now it's going to be out of gauge the other way. It's not going to actually fall in the grooves. So we can easily take the pliers, hold the wheel, and just gently twist the gear, and it'll start sliding backwards. And I'm going to do it to the other side too. There. So I think this is going to be engaged now. And it is. This one is engaged. The other thing you want to make sure that you do is these brushes that are in there, the square brushes, we want to make sure that those, if you grab it with the needle nose, you want to make sure the wheel turns and spins freely. Because when you press the gear on, it could cause the brush, it could pin the brush up against the wheel such that the wheel doesn't turn. So we want a little bit of looseness there, otherwise the wheel is going to be binding and the wheel won't turn very nice and the locomotive won't run very nice because it'll be binding. So this one's nice and loose, and again it's in gauge. So that's one done. And it actually goes a lot quicker than that because I did a lot of talking and I lost a brush for a minute there. So I'm going to move on to the next one. We'll see how fast I can finish this. We're at the 14-minute mark. I'm going to grab another gear. And I'll do the remaining 7 wheels. That one's on. Grab it. Put another wheel in the NMRA gauge. Press this on. It's in. They're both in. I think this other side's going to need to go down a little bit further. Again, I've done quite a few of these, so I can tell just by visually looking at them whether they're going to be engaged. This is going to be a little too tight, I think. Yep, and it is. So we'll back off this side just a hair. And that's now engaged. Second one's done. All right, one truck is done. Front truck is done. And we'll do wheel set number 3. Grab the gear, put it in between the pliers. Press down. That one's on. Grab another wheel, put it in the gauge. Press down. That one's on. This one's going to be a little wide. I'm quite sure. And it is. Alright, so we got to press down a little more. I think I'm going to do it on this side. Okay. That went a little too far, so I'm going to back it off just a little bit. Alright, that one's done. Last one. We're ready. So I told you when I don't stop and chat and try to show detail up in the camera, it actually goes really fast. Okay, gears on the last wheel set. I'll just grab my last wheel, press that on. I gotta back this side off because it went a little too far. Okay. Sometimes it's actually easy just to press it down flush and then back it off a little bit. I think that's the easiest way. Alright. That is, got terrible lighting here, but that's engage. So, and I've been checking each of these to make sure that the brushes spin freely so I can see that if there's a space in there, I know they're not going to bind. Alright. We're done replacing gears. So now it's time to put the wheels back in, and we want to make sure that these square brushes slide into the slots. I'll try to do this on camera. I'll just show one. You can either do this with a needle nose pliers or a little screwdriver. No, that just dropped in there. Okay. I'll do the other 3. And you'll know this is a required step. You won't be able to forget it, because if you don't get if you don't get the brushes lined up and get them to drop in, you're not going to be able to put the gear covers back on. They're not going to snap on. Alright, so all 4 wheels are back into place. Now it's a good time, if you haven't lubed your locomotive lately, or if you put brand new dry gears on, it's a good time to put a little grease in there. I may get criticized for using the wrong type of grease or putting too much or too little in there, but I find for my locomotives this works great. I have to press hard because this is actually this particular grease I've got. This lube is a thick viscosity. This is happens to be Hobby Lube Premium Gear Lube HL 664. And this comes from, I think this is from Woodland Seedings. Yeah, Woodland Seedings. I know down at the club we got a lighter viscosity. Next time I gotta buy a tube of this, I'm definitely get the lighter, because this is really tough to squeeze out. Alright, so our gears are lubed up. Now we'll put the covers back on, and that'll be it. That's all there is to it. We just have to have the parts and a little bit of know-how. Covers are on. Take the locomotive, put it on this test track so you can see it. Okay, it's on. And go forward. There we go. No more jumping, no more noise. It's all fixed. So That only took, I mean, without all the jibber jabber, it really only takes about 5 minutes. Now I'll join this guy up with the other Jeeps that I did, other Jeep 30s in the consist, and you'll see them all rolling. We'll break it in. See that? Alright, let's add them to the consist. MU plus. And here's a Jeep Parade. All 5 of these Jeep 30s had cracked axles. Just replaced them all using that same method. You can hear one of them's kind of whistling a little bit. Might have to take off the shell, and it might have motor bearings are a little dry. Again, these have been in storage since the year 2007. When I sold my last house and I moved, I boxed up everything. And so I just pulled them all out. They sat in the garage for 10 years, 10 Minnesota winters and summers. And that's what cracked the gears. Alright, so that's it. Hope you found this informative or useful. Again, that part number for replacing the cracked gears in lifelike Proto 2000 locomotives is Athearn part number 60024. On the camera that I'm using, that's actually showing in reverse. I'm not sure if that's how it's going to render when I publish this video, but anyways, I've said it verbally twice. Again, about $5.50 per pack plus shipping, unless you can find them at your local hobby shop. So that's it, everyone. Take care. See ya.